Hey, hi, hello. I hope you're doing well. I am overwhelmed by my stash as I have compiled it all in one place. And like many other people who knit, crochet, probably craft of any sort, you acquire a lot of materials for said craft, and maybe you get gifted some, maybe you buy yarn for two projects and end up only having time for one. And then by the time you get around to finishing that one, your eyes are so set on another project that you decide that you have to cast that one on and you have to go get yarn for that one. Or you find some at the thrift store and you decide to tackle that project of sorting through all of the moth holes and washing it and whatever it may be. Or you have yarn for Christmas presents, or you have leftover yarn from other projects, and all of a sudden you are sitting surrounded by way too many skeins of yarn. So, with that being said, I am here to organize my stash, maybe get rid of some, put it into categories, make some plans for tackling the stash, and whatever else I can determine needs to happen with said stash. So, I'm taking you along with me. I have bins. I'm going to start categorizing. And I also have my basket, which is usually where I keep any of my active projects in. Kind of sits by the couch. Anything I'm working on goes in here. So that's that. And most recently, I've acquired a lot of drop snow. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, this is for the sailor slippers that I've decided I am making for everyone for Christmas. So, drop snow. This is leftover from the slippers that I made for myself. Also leftover from the slippers I made for myself. I do think with my leftover yarn, it's going to be fun to make some scrappy slippers for anyone and everyone and myself. I think I need to find all my sock yarn. I was actually gifted some sock yarn from someone. I believe it was their mother who got rid of some yarn, and they were like, "Hey, I went through what I wanted. Do you want to go through what you want?" So these and this, which I will say, I really just want to dye this one black. This, however, I'm obsessed with. I'm working on a pair of socks with the same yarn. This is Hedgehog Fibers Skinny Singles. And I really like it, but it's really thin and it's taking forever. Um, and this, I feel like I will gift someone a pair of socks once I feel like gift knitting again, because I will be doing a lot of that this season. Right when I started knitting, kind of, I um, signed up for a monthly subscription from Lichen and Lace, and this is from that, and I love it. I also have this one from them, and somewhere I have like a leftover from socks I've already made. But it's really soft and squishy sock yarn, and they come with really fun colors. And once I get through my stash at some point, if ever, I would love to subscribe again. I made some frog socks with this yarn here, and I ended up having quite a bit left over. And then, of course, like you need one tiny detail with the black. But I do want to make some like black and white, maybe striped socks once I get some more Isager sock yarn. So I think that'd be fun. I really like how this yarn works up and wears. So I'm hoping to kind of do some different projects with this one. Oh, the socks I'm wearing today. These are Earth Yarns, um, something sock yarn. Anyway, I decided to make them shorter because they were supposed to go up to like here or something, and I won't wear those. So I made them shorter, and I have leftover, which I think I might have enough for like a short pair of socks, or I will like do a different like colored toe and heel to use this half of it up. Oh, I did make a pair of socks with this. This is more like an lace sock yarn. Um, However, I did like a cute detailed pattern because this was like I think my first pair of socks that I like finished, and I washed them and they felted. So the cute little lace pattern doesn't work very much. But I think this was called like peach tea or something, and it was really cute. It just not the best for detailed work. More from the Froggy Feet. Oh, this is a kit which I don't know if I talked about. I recently went to the Fiber Expo or a Fiber Expo in my state, and I got this frog knitting pattern. And I think that's when I need a break from garments. I'm going to be working on this. It's just so cute. All right, leftover yarn. This is from the Olga sweater that I made, and I guess this will be the leftover bin for now. I ended up with more than I needed of that, but I'm not really the best at figuring out how much I need, and I think I overestimate rather than underestimate. So these are left over from my wave sweater. Here is the mohair and the marla that I used for like that center stripe. And I gotta find out. I feel like this might make some fun mittens. I gotta find someone who really likes yellow. This is for a work in progress, kind of. It's on hold. I think I talked about it in my first podcast, and I don't know what to do with it. Also, leftover from the wave sweater, leftover from one of my projects with this. I made the Olga sweater and the Olga jacket, both with this as one of the stripes. That's Cowborn Woolen Scout. I have a lot of mostly full skeins that I used for the color work of my beetle sweater. So I really wanted the detail, and I really love how it turned out, but now I don't know what to do with these. I did make a Sophie scarf out of one of the skeins, and I gifted that. I made like a really long one. That was fun. On my birthday, 2 birthdays ago, I got some Issachar Bomulin, and I made a really cute top over it, with it. And I really, really loved it. So maybe I can make like another tank top with these. Okay, I have a lot of these, and I just recently got this. I'm intending to make a very off gauge new Norma, is my goal, because I don't want to hold it double, which is what it calls for. I just want it fingering weight. Maybe it's like a step up from fingering weight. But this is like the natural colors of a sheep, and I got it at the Fiber Expo. So I have quite a bit of this for the sweater. I'm gonna set it aside because that's like in my queue, like next up as soon as I finish the Christmas sweater. This right here is left over from this sweater. This sweater is my very first sweater. It's all twisted stitches entirely, and it's probably more cropped than I would prefer now. Um, and I really want to remake it, so I'm happy that I do have an extra skein. I wonder if there's two. But anyway, there's an extra skein, and so I can make it longer and fit better. Leftover from the beetle sweater. So before I started knitting, I was like a huge crocheter. I made a lot of blankets, and I started making sweaters in like 2020. And I decided to kind of transition to Tunisian crochet and that was like my gateway to knitting. And I made this really fun and funky sweater out of some mohair. I initially found this one at a local yarn store, and then I went to another local yarn store and like picked out colors that were within this one. It's really cute, I think, but it's also like a little out of my comfort zone. I'm gonna try it on so you guys can see. So very funky, very colorful, really soft. Um, and I had a vision to do something similar, but with neutral colors, which are more in my comfort zone. So, so this was kind of the vision for this project. Um, and I've kind of found that I don't love working with acrylic yarn. I think this is, let's see, 40% acrylic. It's not bad. The sweater I was wearing before is somewhere along those lines too. It's Morocco vintage, and I do like it. There's another tag in this one. Anyway, um, I don't know. When I started trying to like mock this up as I did this one, I did not like it, but I have since figured out an idea of what to do with this, and I am really excited. So yeah, stay tuned. Oh, I think this is another one from it. So darker brown. During Knitting for Olive's fundraiser, I ended up getting this for the Michaela sweater. There's black too, that I'm actively working on. So I'm going to throw this in my active bin. And then I also got some merino to make like a fitted mixed rib top, which is also kind of next in my queue. So I'm putting that over here. Like the colorful, funky sweater with the brown that I had ordered, I also ordered mohair to make another one, and the colors just weren't what they looked like online. And they're like, let's see, yeah, they're 30% mohair, um, with 30% polyamide and 40% acrylic, and I don't love the way they feel. That's what I get for ordering online, I guess. But I did start making a hair bow last year for a gift out of it. Um, and the colors just really didn't translate. So I now have bits of mohair that I don't really care for, that I need to figure out what to do with. When I was initially picking out colors for my wave sweater, I was going to do something like with neutrals, and these are leftovers from that I decided to pivot because I hated the way it looked. But it was maybe this one as well. And I swear, these looked so much more warm toned in the store. I think the lighting in a retail space always kind of skews things. Um, but anyway, from these, I think there was one more that I think I mentioned I used, made for a Sophie scarf. This is, I'm pretty sure, acrylic yarn. I don't remember what it was. It was at Joann's. I got it when I started knitting, and I was trying to make like a little bralette type thing, but the stretch, especially here, is just not there. It might make a nice scarf, but it is not making a nice top. Yeah. I made my fiance a hat last year with this on the inside because he really likes these colors. And now I have leftover. So I think I need to put my this is my leftover bin. I think it needs to be in a bigger bin. This is leftover from my Vilma top. Vilma. It's getting smaller. Oh, my first watch, which is also twisted. It's so funny. Ooh, I made a pair of mittens with this. This is the Manos del Uruguay Marla. These are really cute. I kind of wish I would have paired them with like a red mohair to make them a little fluffier though, but still really cute. I have intentions of making a hat. I believe this is Cascade 220 with Rowan mohair, I think. And I really love this color. I'm even considering trying to make a whole sweater out of this now that it's just been sitting here for a while. This is the yarn that I got at a thrift store, and I've never worked with this type of yarn. But when I started winding it up into hanks so I could wash it. Um, and they were just like pieces and pieces and pieces. So um, it was really fun to deal with. It definitely got moths at some point in whatever life. But I have to kind of weigh this out, but I think it's enough for probably like a big oversized vest, is what I'm thinking. I don't think it's enough for a full sweater, but I could also maybe knit a vest with the intention of if there's enough to knit the sleeves. That might be an option. So this is like, I have this bin, I think is going to be like, I have plans for this. Okay. So I want to say it's the Feels Right tee. I got the Wool Dreamers Sauna. I don't know how to say this. Um, and I started, this was like a while back, I started knitting it, and this is how far I got. And I realized that it's taking forever, and I did not have the energy for like a whole fingering weight oversized tee. Um, so I think I will come back to it because I do really want it. Um, so I have plans for it, but maybe when the weather's a little warmer. Oh, and this is also a 50-50 cotton wool blend. I think this can be really comfortable. And it looks like I have a third skein. This is knitting for Olive Merino, and I've made 2 tops with it. Ooh, let me grab them. While I grab these, I also have the Bomulan top. It's not called a Bomulan top. That's just what I made with it. I'll put the name because I'm blanking on it on the screen. But I love this. So it's a linen yarn. Really love the color. And then, so I first made this, which I believe is the sole top. Um, and it was really cute in the moment, I think, but I have issues with it. One, it stretched a bit, and the armholes are really, really long. I think it's just too big, basically. And I would like to make something else with it. Seeing how much I have left, I have an idea that I could make another of those Campanula tees that I'm intending with the black um, with this. So frogging this entirely and making a new project with it. And I also made this one, which I'm so bad at remembering the names, but I have it logged somewhere. So I made this tee or tank, really stretchy, really comfortable. I remember working on this, and everyone's like, "It looks like a top for a baby." It's very stretchy. So really excited about this. Okay, I had to put on my socks that I've made to explain this yarn. So I got this is Amano Duna. So it's 60% cotton and 40% alpaca. It is not meant to be socks, but I wanted them to be socks because I really like the feel of this yarn. So I knit them. I made the socks. These I think are the DRK everyday socks, I want to say. And they're super comfortable. and I like them. They do stretch out a lot, like as you wear them, but I wash them. I don't dry them, but I put them in the washing machine and lay them flat to dry, and they kind of shrink back up, and they're just so comfortable. So anyway, I ended up getting. I do have some leftovers of it, which I didn't realize how much leftovers. I could probably make its own pair of socks with these. Yeah, I got another skein to make another pair with. Sock yarn. I also really liked that yarn, and I ended up, I was going to make, this is superwash, merino, cotton, and linen. So a little better for, this is a Chosky. A little better for socks as far as I'm aware. And I was going to make, there's like these cat socks, I'm blanking on the name. I will also insert. But I was going to make them with like these two colors. So I have plans for that. Swatch leftover from my wave sweater. My first ever like knitting plan was socks with this yarn, and there's more over there, but I made one, and that was, and I made the one single sock. I knit this, and then I realized all my stitches were twisted on both projects, so I frogged the socks and I left the sweater. I think this is Opal, and it was like the one that was inspired by Van Gogh's sunflower painting. Um, so more sock yarn. Okay, so I have a bit of the Cowboy Woolens Cricket. So I have the two skeins here that were on sale at my local yarn store. So I snagged these, but I don't know what to make with just two skeins. And then I also have 4 skeins of the cream color. And I believe their username is Hair of the Dog Knits. I follow them on TikTok, and they are making Jules Rumi Raglan with this paired with what is it? I think it's Baracco's Eco Wool or Eco something. And it looks so, they're doing like a brown and a reddish type color. It looks amazing. Anyway, I've had this for quite a while and I loved it, and I was going to make like a nice cardigan, and then I saw that and I'm like, that's what I'm making. I'm using that combination and I'm making the Rumi Raglan. So another one for plans. However, I don't know what to do with these two. So this is 100 grams each, 380 meters, or 415 yards. It's 100% merino wool. Maybe I just need to get more and also do like a similar thing depending on how that one goes. I don't know what to do with it. So it's going in that bin. Don't know what to do with. Then I have all of my yarn from the Maggie vest that I started. I actually originally got this for an entirely different top. So I ended up making the Maggie vest, and then I made the Maggie vest too small. So I've since frogged the Maggie vest, and I have all these little pieces that I am going to remake it with, but they are not happening just yet. And then last one, I'm actually, this yarn has been like haunting me, I think, for years, honestly. I got this one before I even started knitting, and I got it on a road trip to, like, we went to North Carolina and Tennessee, my aunt and my cousin, and I got maybe 2 skeins of this yarn. So this is the yarn kind of more as is, and it was my first fancy yarn purchase, actually. But I didn't know what to do with it, and then I come to the realization that like crochet takes up a lot of yarn. I'm not going to make anything with this. At least I wanted more of like a garment rather than like a accessory. And like a year and a half, maybe 2 years later, I found the same yarn because I couldn't find it anywhere else. It was like the most like random place. I was never going back. I don't remember where I even got it. And then I found it in New Brunswick, Canada. No, Nova Scotia, Canada. I think it was in Halifax area. And I found it again. So I got an extra, I think they had like one or two skeins. And I've paired this with a mohair, which I need to get another skein of clearly because that one's not tied to it. But I think I'm going to make a vest. I finally figured out what I'm going to do with this because I was like, it's not enough for a sweater. I would love for it to be a sweater. Anyway, I have plans. I have plans for this. And I actually think that this is something I'm going to work on shortly after the new year. Okay. So, I have what I have plans for. I have sock yarn. I have leftover yarn. I don't entirely know what to do with yarn. Active projects. Acrylic mohair that I don't want anymore. I don't know what this is from. Over here, I have like next up queue projects. And I think let's break it down maybe a little more. I have Ravelry up. So I was looking at patterns for the vest that I am envisioning with this. And I found the Mochi Slipover by Vert Knit. And it's really just like a basic vest. However, I think what I want to do is like a broken rib, so it's open on the sides. That way it's not fitted. I think that's my only adjustment I would make to it. But that's what I'll do with this. And then I guess maybe depending on how that goes, I could do something similar with this. So I have, let's see, a lot of the Scout in the color natural. Let's say excluding this, that's quite a bit. I bet you I could also make a vest with this, or potentially order maybe like a couple more skeins to make a full sweater. I think that would be really nice. I have considered making the Olga in just a solid color. I could also pair it with a mohair and kind of bring up the gauge a little bit and make it a little fluffier. I really love this yarn, like a lot. I actually do have a bit here. I could make like a matching hat and gloves. There is another shade of this green. Let me find it. Okay, so there is a shade Chartreuse, which I think would be really fun. The thing is, I've knit so many striped things. I've knit the two striped Olgas. I'm knitting the striped Michaela. I'm knitting another striped Olga. I don't know if I'm ready to think about stripes totally again. But there is a Chartreuse color and Moss Heather. This is the Lichen Heather, so it's kind of in between those two. I could see like a totally green striped sweater. That'd be so fun. Or maybe some sort of color work with it. So I'm gonna consider this as like mostly having a plan for it. I think just making a plain sweater with it. I've bought this a few times and doesn't look like there's any difference in dye lots. It's natural, so I'm gonna maybe guess that it's not dyed either. I'm not sure. This is still TBD. I did talk about the knitting for olive merino and frogging this and making something maybe like the Campanula tee with it. So I'm going to consider that having a plan. And then I have all of these skeins of Barocco Vintage. Let me see how many I have here. This one has a plan. Oh my gosh. This is going to be a remake of this sweater. So that has a plan. More Barocco Vintage. Barocco Vintage. Barocco Vintage. And pretty sure that's also Barocco Vintage. So all of this I think like the easiest thing is like soapy scarves, you know, or maybe I think some of them there's enough to do like a pair of gloves. I think this would make a nice pair of the chili podsters that I always talk about. I am considering just listing this and seeing if anyone wants it. I do have a friend who is thinking about knitting next year. If you're watching this, if you want any of this yarn here, please let me know. I feel like you'd like this color, but I only have one skein of it. It'd make a nice hat. Um, and then I need to look maybe quickly and see if I can find like a tank that would be this amount of yarn for the Issachar Bomulin. Because I think like a nice drapey top would be cute. So I did a very brief search for what I might be able to do with the Bomulin, and it does feel like most are calling for a little more yarn, but my kind of preliminary ideas are the West Singlet, and that's by Sedness Design. I think it would be nice for the drape. It does call for, oh, okay. So it's calling for skeins of yarn, and it does look like I would probably need more than this. So I'm not sure if this is something I'm going to be able to make. And then the other pattern is the Leela top by Kadri. And this one, I think, like based off of the yardage, it's a pretty big range, but I think I'd be able to make it. Just depends on probably like how long I want it and everything. That's the one I think I'm leaning towards, the Leela top. Uh, yeah, so I'm going to consider this as having a plan. I guess it goes over here. um, what's left here is I think that I'm going to somehow maybe find someone who really likes yellow and make them like a hat or a pair of gloves, potentially both, but I think that might be a stretch for what I have here. Since I have like the extra mohair and left over here. So kind of just something that I have on the back burner. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this. I do think I'm going to make my boyfriend, my fiance, another hat because the last one was too small, so I can use this again for that. And then I have a little bit of Cowboy Wool Scout left. I don't really think it's much to make anything, so I'm probably not going to do anything with that. And then I don't think I talked about either of these yet, but this is the Knitting for Olive silk. And this I got at the Yarn Expo last year and made something with. I don't know if this is enough to make something by itself, but maybe like a striped pair of socks where this is one color. And this I also have no idea what to do with unless I get more. I will say the top I made was maybe not the best for the pattern. I think it would be better if it was a little more like stretchy and fitted, where this like ends up being a little loose. But it's really, really comfortable and I love it. So I have a lot that I don't know what to do with. I have a lot that I do have plans for. A lot of sock yarn. The bin over there is kind of like maybe getting rid of it. I don't know. I feel better talking about what I could do with all of the yarn. I just know that like things keep coming up and they keep inspiring me that I want to do, but I need to have like some sort of ratio where, you know, I have to knit two things before, like two things from stash for every one that I purchase new, and like being mindful of the quantities that I purchase and everything like that. So I hope this was enjoyable and maybe helpful, kind of talking through my stash and what I might be able to do with it. I think I've made a bit of progress on organization, of course. So if you have something in your stash that you're having trouble thinking of what to do, I highly encourage going to Ravelry and entering in your quantities and all of that and seeing if something might pop up. Or you can leave in the comments and maybe someone would be willing to help you out. Anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and thanks for being here.